investments and retirement accounts and everything, inshallah. The hadith for today, hadith 1936 from Sahih al-Bukhari. Abu Huraira radiallahu anh, he said, بينما نحن جلوس عند النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذ جاءه رجل. So he said, we were sitting around the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, when a man came. فقال يا رسول الله هلكت. So he said, Messenger of Allah, I'm destroyed. Like, I'm completely messed up. قال ما لك. So he said, like, what's wrong? What's the issue with you? So he responded and he said, وقعت على امرأتي وأنا صائم. The rated G translation is, I broke my fast. In the month of Ramadan, I was it died? I broke my fast and it's the month of Ramadan. So فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم هل تجد رقبة تعتقها. Are you able to find a slave that you can free? Because one of the ways of compensating or making up for breaking your fast in Ramadan is to free a slave. This is better? Okay. So one of the ways to make up for that is to free a slave. And so the man responded and he said, let's see, where is my... He said, La. He said, I can't afford that because, freeing a slave was something that cost quite a bit of money at that time. And Islam is there to free slaves. It's trying to remove people from that situation. But it costs a lot of money, and the man didn't have a lot of money. So he said, I can't do that. So then the Messenger of Allah said, he said, فَهَلْ تَسْتَطِيعُ أَن تَصُومَ الشَّهْرَيْنِ مُتَتَابِعِينَ. Can you fast 2 months straight? Meaning 60 days straight. Can you do that? Because that's one of the penalties for breaking your fast in the month of Ramadan. The man said, La. I can't do that. I'm so weak, I can't fast 60 days in a row. Most people can, but some people can't. She said, فَهَلْ تَجِدُ إِطْعَامَ السِّتِّينَ مِسْكِينًا. So can you feed 60 poor people? If you can't do any of these two things, you have to feed 60 poor people. The man said, لا, I can't do that either. قال فمكث النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فبين نحن على ذلك أتي النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بعرق فيها تمر والعرق al-miktal. So they waited around for a little while. The Messenger of Allah somebody brought him a container of dates and they gave it to him. And so he went and he said, Aina sa'il. So where's the guy who was asking me these questions about he messed up and he's in such big trouble and he broke his fast and everything? So the man came, he said, where's that guy? So فَقَالَ أَنَا. So I'm right here, Messenger of Allah. So قال, he says, خُذْهَا فَتَصَدَّقْ بِهِ. So he says, here, take this container of dates and go and feed it to the poor people of Medina. And so that will be a compensation for what you've done in terms of your fast. فَقَالَ رَجُلْ أَعْلَى أَفْقَرَ مِنِّي يَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ. Said, فَوَاللَّهِ مَا بَيْنَ لَابَتَيْهَا يُرِيدُ الْحَرَّتَيْنِ أَهْلُ بَيْتٍ أَفْقَرُ مِنْ أَهْلِ بَيْتِي. He said, Messenger of Allah, is there anybody in this entire area that's poorer than me? There's nobody in this whole city that is poorer than I am. How can I give it to other poor people? So the Messenger of Allah فَضَحِكَ النَّبِيُّ صَلَّى حَتَّى بَدَتْ أَنْيَابُهُ ثُمَّ قَالَ. So Messenger of Allah, when he heard this, he started laughing. Because he's like, this guy came, this guy messed up, he's supposed to be offering a compensation. He says, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do that. He said, okay, we're going to help you out. Here's something, go and give it to the poor people. The guy says, there's nobody poorer than me. So Messenger of Allah laughed and he said, okay, أَطْعِمْهُ أَهْلَكَ. He said, go and take these dates and just give it to your family. So the guy, this is how merciful the Messenger of Allah is. He's not going to argue with the guy and if his situation is exactly as he described it or whatever. The guy messed up, broke the sanctity of Ramadan, and he ends up getting a bunch of dates for his own family. This is the rahmah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so it teaches you also that if somebody doesn't pay attention to the sanctity of the month of Ramadan, it's something very serious. The Hanafi and the Maliki school, they say that if you break your fast just because you just you're hungry and you say, I just can't take this anymore. This pizza in front of me is just too tempting. At a party at work, I'm just gonna eat. The compensation for that is you need to free a slave, which you cannot do in the United States of America because you don't have slaves. And if you do, you're probably going to go to jail. Just keep it to yourself. But if you have one, free them. Okay. Second option, you have to fast 60 days in a row. If you miss one day, you restart again. That is compensation for breaking the fast. And if you can't do that, then you feed 60 poor people. But it has to go in that order. So that's how serious of a thing it is. So number one, make sure that you do not just give up and say, oh, fasting is really hard. I'm just going to skip this. I'm just not going to do it. And I don't have a valid excuse. It is a very serious thing to break the sanctity, the special month of Ramadan. You don't play around with that. And the second is to learn of how merciful the Prophet ﷺ was with other people. Sometimes people will complain. Sometimes people will say this. And he dealt with all of these people. So in Ramadan especially, you're going to find some interesting people that will maybe annoy you. They may do some strange things. They may park in front of your car. They may do some weird things. Learn to have patience with them, especially in the month of Ramadan. It doesn't mean you let everything go, but it means that you control yourself. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us that patience and grant us that self-control this Ramadan. Ameen wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. And we'll start the Zakat seminar downstairs in the MPR in just a few minutes, inshallah.